Hello, 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 and welcome to the Living Aligned by Design workshop. We're going to have so much fun because we are going to be talking about how to interpret and align your life with your unique genetic human design. So don't worry if you're new to human design, this workshop is going to make it all come together and make sense. What we're going to cover in this workshop is first and foremost, we'll talk about what human design is and why it is important, what makes it different, what makes it unique, what makes it awesome. We'll talk about the 5 different types and how to live more intentionally and aligned with your type. We'll talk about authority, strategy, signature, and non self theme, which will all make sense once we get there. We'll talk about the 9 centers or energy hubs in your human design body graph. And we'll talk about commitment plan, action steps, and next steps. So just in case, let's kind of lay a little foundation because I know Wi-Fi can be a little wonky. Just in case you can't hear me, can't see me, or the screen becomes frozen, just refresh. I have no intention on leaving. I have set aside this time so that we can dive deep about all things human design. And trust me when I say I'm so pumped. So don't leave me, just refresh your screen and come back and I'll still be here chatting away. A couple things of what I need from you. I need you to clear off any distractions that you may have during this time. Research says that when we try to like multitask, we actually teach our brain to underperform. And if you really want to know this stuff and you want to be able to live aligned based on this stuff, you got to be able to pay attention. All right. I promise I won't take too much time. I want you to really dedicate this hour to yourself. I think a lot of times we give our time and our energy to people and jobs and other responsibilities, and sometimes we put ourselves on the back burner. This is your time to do something that your future self is going to be so grateful that you committed to. The next thing is I want you to keep an open mind. Some of this stuff is going to be really new, some of it's going to be super foreign. Whatever it is, I want you to keep an open mind because I promise when we pull it all together, it'll finally make sense. I also want you to use this time to maximize the information you need to be able to move forward. If or what, during this time you have any questions, you can feel free to type them in the chat box on your screen, and either myself or a member of my team will respond. But I think that this training is pretty comprehensive, so I'll likely answer a lot of it as we're kind of bouncing around going through it all. So a little bit about me, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Nicolia. So I'm a certified master life and success coach. I'm a best-selling author. I actually have 10 books, 2 planners, and 2 journals, and I have a journal and a planner coming out super soon. So that'll be moving up to 16 different things, but I love being able to share new information and to be able to bring insight to people all around the world. And books are a great way to do that. I'm also a human design expert and analyst. I've been studying human design for quite some time, and I love it because it's totally transformed my life. And you'll learn a little bit about that in a moment. I'm an emotional freedom tapping practitioner, love all things energy and mindset, hence why I'm also certified in neurolinguistic programming. I am an unapologetic believer and I am a girl mom. So that's a recent picture of me and my babies. And it's so interesting. People ask me all the time, like, do I use human design, not just for my clients, but I actually use it for my children as well. Like they know their human design types, and it's actually helped me be able to parent them more effectively. Like I understand where their energy lies. I understand, one of them has an undefined root center. So she has this constant need to have all this pressure, but I show more grace. I'm teaching her ways to really take care of herself and all the things. So that's where I am at. All right, so that's a little bit about me, and I'm excited to be able to share that with you, and we're going to be able to dive in. So, a little bit about me and my journey into human design and my why. So, a couple of years ago, I went through a surgery, and don't worry, I'm all fine. It was an emergency surgery, and I remember coming home and just being so bored, kind of laying in bed. I was kind of like out there, and I started scrolling Instagram a little bit, and I came across a human design post. So it intrigued me, and I pulled up my human design body graph, like most of us do. And as I pulled it up, I was like, what in the world is all of this gibberish? It looked really foreign to me. It made no sense. I'm sure you can likely relate. And so I kind of blew it off. A couple of days later, I saw another human design post, and I'm like, all right, like, what is it that I'm supposed to be paying attention to here? So I am very, very resourceful. I have been in school my entire life. I went all the way through to get my doctorate, and I really believe that I like to learn. I am a lifelong learner. My friends would probably call me a little bit of a nerd, but I decided that I wanted to investigate it. And needless to say, I have never in my life felt so seen, so heard, and so held and understood. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness, I need to study this more in depth. So I really fell in love with human design. And the cool thing is I'm into like human behavior and psychology and mindset. And I love personality tests. So this was kind of my jam, but I had no idea what to expect, that it would be so comprehensive and nothing like anything I've ever studied before. So I went on to study human design, and I'll share a little bit about my journey. So before human design, I struggled with who I was personally. Like I was embarrassed about being different. I felt like something was wrong with me, especially as I moved into business. All my business coaches that I was spending thousands of dollars with wanted me to like niche down and only talk to one person. And I just felt so overwhelmed with this, and I felt embarrassed that I didn't fit their ideal client because I didn't operate that way, right? I also felt that way going through school when I was always trying to learn and always moving to the next thing. And you'll learn as we kind of go through some of these types. I was really living in alignment but didn't know it. I didn't trust myself or any of my decisions. I had a series of decisions that I didn't really appreciate that I made, but I made them from a place of like force. And so I stopped trusting myself, which is one of the greatest parts about human design, is it lets you trust yourself again. I felt all over the place. Like it felt like nothing ever made sense. It felt like, the best way to say it is, my life felt like this scattered puzzle that was missing a few pieces. I didn't really know myself or understand myself or anything like that. And it was really, really, really difficult. This is actually a post I made on Instagram because it was like after human design like rocked my world. And I was like, I got to share this stuff. Well, after human design gave me permission to fully be me, to embrace every little quirk, every little weird thing, and just embrace all the authentic parts of me of who I was made to be. It helped me learn how to make aligned decisions confidently and unapologetically. It helped me to embrace my multi-passionate nature and look at it like a gift, not a burden. And it helped me to be able to embrace the authentic parts of myself and learn to actually leverage those things. And so this is a post that I made because I was like, I feel like people need to know this, and I feel like it's a crime that more people don't. So hence, when I started my journey of uncovering human design, wanting to learn more about it, opening up my calendar to bring people in to learn more about it, because I felt like it changed my life so much. And I'm like, everybody and their mom needs to know. That's why I use it with my kids. I use it with my mom, with my siblings, with everybody I know, my friends, my clients, because it just is so impactful. So I'm so happy that you're here, because we are going to be talking all things human design. And finally, it'll begin to make sense. And you'll begin to also live in alignment and embrace those authentic parts of yourself and realize that these are not burdens, but they're amazing, amazing blessings. So what is human design? Human design is a logical system that really brings together the I Ching, the astrology, the Kabbalah, the Hindu chakra system, quantum physics, and all the things. But on a most basic level, on a very root level, human design shows you where and how to access your body's consciousness as a decision-making tool. It helps you understand where you have energy, where you're gaining energy from other people. It helps you to see where you're conditioned. It reveals how you best operate, think, function, and respond and relate in this world. And for me, I feel like human design is absolutely necessary for you to be able to live on purpose and for a purpose, all right? Human design was actually founded by Ra Uru Hu in 1987. And he had this encounter with what he called the voice, where all this entire system was downloaded. And I will tell you, human design is so comprehensive that you can't just like look it up one time and be like, yep, I know that I'm this, right? And walk away. It involves so many different pieces. And we'll talk a little bit about the body graph and how this all adds up. But one of the questions that I often get is like, isn't human design just like the Enneagram or just like, Myers-Briggs or whatever like that? But human design literally shows you how you're supposed to operate in this world. And whereas the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram or any other personality test that may come to mind, those tests show you how you have been conditioned to be. For example, I have a ton of clients that would find themselves being seen as an extrovert using like the Myers-Briggs. But during the pandemic, they found themselves, when they would take the Myers-Briggs again, just because I would like kind of try it with them, they found themselves being more introverted. And that's because they had to be conditioned to really enjoy kind of being introverted. Now, that's not to say that when the pandemic ended, they're not like, oh yeah, like it's great, I can just be back an extrovert again. Again, it's based on your conditioning. And I see that a lot. Like I've seen people take it in college and then they take it in their workplace and they're like, my letters aren't exactly the same. Maybe you were more intuitive and now you're more feeling, whatever it may be. Whereas human design is rooted. Human design doesn't shift. Human design doesn't change. These tests help like when you think of personality tests, they measure how well you perform on your interpersonal skills, the motivation and the roles that you can excel at due to different behavioral traits. Whereas human design places you in the present tense and it teaches you how to succeed in every situation, every single time. It's like this comprehensive view of who you are supposed to be. It shows you your decision-making tool, how to live as your true self. And it's like literally having an owner's manual for your entire life. It is so amazing. And so the best thing to say when you're thinking of like, how does it compare to a personality test? Understand that a personality test is fluid. A human design test is not. It stays the same no matter what. So for me, the way I look at human design is it's the ultimate permission slip to be yourself. All the things that we've been conditioned or told that we have to be, all the things society told us or different experiences we've had have made us believe that we need to be. Human design lets you circumvent that and step into who you are supposed to be, stepping into that next level of who you're actually here to be. So here's the thing. What is desired by you is destined for you. And what I find a lot of times is when we are conditioned based on societal norms or programming or experiences or things that we've gone through, we kind of put our desires to the side. We put those gut instincts or those intuitive drives or those things that we really feel led towards aside because we're told that we should feel guilty about it or we're told that it's not something that we should pay attention to. And so I know for me, for example, one of the things is like human design helped me understand manifestation at a greater scale. And I was always taught that manifestation was actually something bad. I was taught that manifestation was something that we should shy away from, especially as like a Christian or something like that. But I learned, the more I learned my unique design, the more I was like, oh my goodness, I'm actually made to be able to manifest, which is awesome. But here's the thing, you can only create what's destined for you if you understand what's destined for you. And that's what human design allows you to do. But you got to move past the programming and the conditioning because that can actually negatively impact you and get in the way. So considering this, I want you to think of what conditioning do you feel like maybe you've had? A lot of times I see conditioning around the idea of what productivity looks like. Like we live in such a hustle mentality society. Productivity is rewarded. You're supposed to hustle, 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 and go, 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 and do, do, do. There's a lot of conditioning around feeling guilty about rest. There's a lot of conditioning around sharing your story online. Like human design teaches and speaks to each of these things because we are made to be different. Here's the truth, guys. If there were more than one of you, you wouldn't be needed, okay? And we have to understand that. And that's another thing about the personality test is they stamp you with a type. And so does human design. It gives you a type, but it goes even deeper than that. There's variables, there's authority, there's strategy, there's non-self theme, there's signature. There is so many pieces to this puzzle. And this is where we get to start doing the deconditioning work and come back home to ourselves, all right? So if you have not already, pull out your workbook and pull out your human design chart. This is where you can get your human design chart, myhumandesign.com/get-your-chart or geneticmatrix.com. I personally love Genetic Matrix, but if you're looking for like a super beautified chart, humandesign.com has some really pretty charts. So totally your choice wherever you pull it from. So let's go over, this is called the body graph, right? Let's go over the body graph. So we have this amazing body graph. If you look on the left side where all the like planets and the red part is, that is your unconscious side. And then we have the black side, which also kind of has the planets, and then it has your conscious side. So the red side is formed about 88 days before you're born. The black side is formed the moment you step foot on this planet, the moment you are born into this world, all right? Then we have the arrows, which are called the variable system. We have the 9 centers. So these are all the centers, love the centers. And you have a type, you have an authority, you have a strategy, all the things. But this whole picture, this image, the thing that you're looking at is called your body graph. So your body graph is your overall human design chart matrix. It consists of 9 centers, 36 channels, and 64 gates. And let me kind of go back and show you so these, like you see the red and black, these are called channels, and those little numbers on each of the centers, those are called gates, all right? If you see a red, if you see one that's kind of hanging, it's called a hanging gate. And if it's red, that means it's unconscious. If it's black and red, that means it's conscious and unconscious. Or if it's just black, it's conscious, all right? So again, the design date is 88 days before you're born. This is the time that you receive multiple imprints from various planets in our solar system. The red side of the chart is, again, the design date. The design date you'll see on your chart. It's not just your birth date, it's 88 days before. So you may think that there's an error. I thought it was an error at first, but whatever your birth date is, you subtract 88 days and that's your design date. The red side of your chart is the subconscious side, and that was created before the black side. The black side is your conscious mind. And then we have a type. There are 5 different types: generators, manifestors, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. So those are all the types. You'll see that on there. All of this is going to be built based on your birth date, your birth location, as well as your birth time, okay? And yes, to answer your question, if you're wondering, birth time does matter. And all parts of this chart play a role based on your birth time, okay? Then we have the variables, which I talked about, the 4 arrows up next to your head. Those give you an in-depth look at your cognitive design and uniqueness. It gives you like a clear or practical map for the transformation of your awareness and how you experience life. It speaks to digestion, the way you observe things in the world, manifestation, a ton of things. Strategy is the doorway to truly living as yourself. The non-self theme or not self theme, this is based on your type, but it's your body's way of saying something is off, something is out of alignment. I like to say it's like a U-turn sign. It's like, turn the other way. And then we have the signature, which is also based on your type. This is your body's way of telling you that you're actually living in alignment. Then we have authority, which is your inner authority, also known as your inner authority. It's your body's knowing or intelligence and how you know if a decision is right for you. We'll talk about each of those things and what they are and what they mean. Then we have gates. This is the number in the center. So we saw kind of those little numbers. There's 64 total. And the black colored gates is your conscious side. The red colored gates is your unconscious energy. If the gate doesn't have like a colored circle around it, that means it's undefined. Then we have channels. This is the line connecting the centers, and there's 36 different channels total. And these channels basically connect 2 gates. And when you connect the channels, when the channel's connecting those 2 gates, they're basically communicating with each other. But there can also be hanging channels. Again, I think you guys saw those one here. So this 12, kind of that hanging channel, or hanging gate. Whereas this 45 to 21, so that is a channel that's connecting and kind of talking to each other. And then we have the astrological symbols, which are on the side. And this explains the impact of the planets on our nature, on our being, on who we are. And every planet, depending on its location, gives a flavor to our overall personality, our overall person, like who we are. So let's talk about the types. Now, this is what most people know. And I like to say all the time that types are wonderful, but types are just like if you think of an iceberg, types are the tip of the iceberg. The rest of the human design is below it. So we'll still go over types because that's a good place to start. But that's something to keep in mind, that there's other parts of the human design system that play a role in your overall human design makeup, all right? So generators make up about 35% of the population. I like to call them like the action portion of the collective, because generators are the kind of human that are here to respond to what life brings. They are designed to go to work. And then we have the manifestors, which make up about 9% of the population. They have inspiration that comes from within. They have the ability to successfully initiate and begin things. They are the doers as far as like initiating and beginning something new. And with manifestors, they have access to consistent energy to just start things, projects, conversations, businesses, movements, inventions, all the things. And then we have manifesting generators, which are a hybrid between the generator and the manifestor. And this is about 30% of the population. So on one side, they have that defined sacral center, which provides them with that generator joy and that sustainable energy. On the other side, they have a motor center, which is directly or indirectly connected to their throat. And they will have the urge to start new things and initiate new things like a manifestor. So they are designed to be multi-passionate and to do more than one thing at a time. Then we have projectors. Projectors make up about 20% of the population. So they love to share their knowledge. They are designed to work they are not designed to work in a traditional sense. And projectors need to be invited in, and they often feel the struggle to be heard. Like they want to be heard, but they often struggle to feel heard. They hold space and provide answers to the other types that are moving, expanding, and doing. And it's important to know as a projector, you're not designed to work like a 9 to 5 job because your energy is most powerful when it's used correctly, but it's not sustainable. So you need to be able to manage your energy deliberately. Like my brother's a projector, and you might hear me talk about him. I love to use him as an example because he worked a 9 to 5. He was miserable. When he quit his 9 to 5, he went on to work at a college and like ended up loving it, but he works 3 hour days, 3 hours here, 3 hours there. He can put his energy into that, but also still refresh and restore his energy. Then we have reflectors, who are the most rare of the human design types because they make up about probably a little less than 1% of the population. It's easy to recognize if you're a reflector because you'll just see that your chart has absolutely no defined centers, meaning everything is white. There is no color. And to answer your question about color, it does not matter color. Like color does not matter. It doesn't matter if it's brown or whatever, depending upon the system you're using. If you have a colored center, it means that it's defined. If it's not colored and every center is not colored in your chart, that means you're a reflector. So as a reflector, you're here to act as a great cosmic mirror and show us as the collective what we're doing incorrectly or correctly. So when I think of it, I think of like this tribe. Let's imagine that long time ago, there's this tribe and they're like, going away, doing great things with their life. And then all of a sudden the manifestor is like, oh my goodness, like, you know what? I think that we need to build a new house. Like we need to build a new place. And so the generator is like, yes. The manifesting generator is like, yes. The manifesting generator initiates new ideas about it. The generator and manifesting generator together, they respond. They're the active part. They're like, let's put it together. The projector's coming in and sharing their knowledge, asking, can they be invited in, saying like, hey, this is where we should put it. This is where we should put a window. This is the kind of house we should build, that kind of thing. And then the reflectors are kind of sitting back and they're watching us. And then they eventually reflect back to us what we've done correctly about it and what we've done incorrectly. That's like a way that I kind of like look at it. And here's the thing. A lot of times I think people feel frustrated about their type, or because they don't understand it, or they don't feel like their type is a cool type. Like I hear all the time, like, oh, I want to be a manifestor because only manifestors can manifest. Not true. Or I wish I was a generator because they're the only type that has energy, right? But there's blessings for each type. And the more you understand who you are and how you're designed to be, the more you can align with that. And the more you can embrace each of those blessings. It's so freeing. All right, so now we're going to look at your authority. Your authority is the voice that you're going to listen to no matter what the rest of your energy is saying. Your authority is the one center that is responsible for helping you to ensure that you are making aligned decisions. So if you look at your body graph chart, there are 9 energy centers, okay? These energy centers are like hubs of energy, and then we each have one center that determines our authority, okay? When you're making a decision, all of your centers are going to try to give their input, which means that you're going to kind of feel tugged and pulled in a lot of different things. But your authority is the voice that you are going to continue to listen to. This is the center that is primarily responsible for assuring that you're making those aligned decisions, okay? So we have sacral authority. Sacral authority is that gut feeling. I hear it all the time and it really triggers me when people are like, well, what's your gut telling you? We all don't have the sacral authority. If you have sacral authority, that means you can ask yourself yes or no questions and feel your gut into that, okay? Do I want chicken? Do I want pizza? Do I want Italian? Yes or no? And that instant response of your gut feeling, that is your sacral authority, okay? You can even practice using your sacral authority and listening to what it sounds like by asking yourself yes or no questions. I find that a lot of people with sacral authority have those sounds, or like they make those sounds as they're feeling into that, okay? Then we have emotional. Emotional authority is where you're riding your wave. This is where clarity comes from time. You never, ever want to make an emotional decision, sorry. My coach once said, when in doubt, wait it out. And I love that concept as an emotional authority myself, because I think a lot of times in society, we're forced with this idea that we have to make quick decisions. With emotional authority, you're not supposed to make quick or rash decisions. Splenic authority is that just knowing, that intuition, and it's a still, soft, quiet voice that just lets you know. And the people with splenic authority typically can't put their finger on it. They say they just know. It sounds like a yes or a no or a tug kind of, but it's that intuition and it comes quick. The key thing with splenic authority to note is that it only comes once. So you got to learn it to know it and know how to respond to it. Then we have ego authority, which is you are designed to make selfish decisions, asking yourself questions like, what is it that I desire? The thing with ego authority to note is that the desires that are put on your heart are to guide you where you need to be. And even if it feels selfish in the moment, you have to know that it's going to benefit the entire collective. So, for example, maybe you broke up with your boyfriend recently and you felt guilty about it, but he just found the love of his life. You found the love of your life, and everyone's happy. It felt like a selfish decision in the moment, but actually, you were able to free him and to let him lean into what he needed to so that you could do the thing that you needed to do. Okay. Your ability to be a good person or meet the expectations of other people, your family, your friends, society, your parents, or what's right or wrong can often distract you from this. You have to remember that your heart is going to guide you, and you got to make decisions that may feel selfish in the moment, but knowing that the outcome is going to guide you where you need to be. Um, self Self-projected projectors. This is where you're making decisions from the sense of that's just who I am, compared to the sense of like, does this decision feel like what my parents want me to do? So maybe you're making a decision about what college major to go into. Do you feel like you're a doctor? Are you a doctor? Do you align with that? And this can show up a lot like inner dialogue or that pulling in your chest where you're like, yep, I can see myself that way. That's who I'm called to be. Sounding board authority or environmental authority, depending upon which program you use, whether My Human Design or Jovian Archive or anything like that, it may also say mental projector, environment authority, sounding board authority, or no inner authority. This simply is you need to be in the right environment to make decisions. So, talking it out with a friend or a coach or something like that to ensure that you're making the right decisions that align with you. It is so important to get into an aligned environment and to observe your process through this so that you can make sure that you're constantly able to do that. Okay. Because decisions don't just happen once, they happen all the time. Typically, this is like a clean or clear minimalistic space because our space actually represents our mind. So if you have a cluttered space, it actually reflects in your mind, and you want to be able to clean your mind, make sure it's not foggy or distracted. And then finally, we have lunar authority. So this is for reflectors. Every day, your energy can feel a little different. So, very similar to sounding board authority, talking it out and getting into the energy of anticipation and surprise will help you to make those decisions. All right. So, a lot of times for small decisions, it can feel like, oh, I need to wait 28 days. Please do not wait 28 days to decide what you want to eat for lunch. Trust your intuition, trust the signals that you're receiving each moment, and learn your lunar cycle so that you can learn how it impacts you. And then you can begin to make educated guesses based on your lunar cycle and the way in which it goes. Okay. So, one thing that I want to go over is I want you to start using your authority to make a small decision today. This could be deciding what you're going to eat for dinner, what you're going to wear, just leaning in to help you connect with your authority and to begin to trust yourself. Okay. A very important tip that I want to highlight here is notice the mind is never the authority. A lot of times we like to say, oh, I'm going to, think with my mind. Our mind should not be making decisions. Our mind is super finicky, and we need to be making decisions with the voice of our authority. Okay. And these are kind of like the breakdowns of each type and like the percentage of people that have each type. So you'll notice majority of people are solar plexus, and then sacral, then splenic, and so on. Now, a key thing that I see when people come to make decisions is they feel like they have to make decisions based on the pressure that other people give them. If you are making decisions in alignment and you want to make the healthiest decisions, understand that you can make in the moment decisions as a sacral, a splenic, or an ego authority or a self-projected projector. If you are making decisions and you need time, you are in alignment if you're an emotional authority, a lunar authority, or a mental projector. It is so important to understand how long it takes you to make an aligned decision so that you can make decisions according to your design, not what other people want. All right, so let's talk all things strategy. Strategy is how you are designed to take action and interact in the world. It's one of those foundational elements of living a life by design, and it can lead to absolutely amazing results. Okay, your strategy is what you do when you don't know what else to do. All right, so as a manifester, your strategy is to inform and initiate. A lot of times, as myself as a manifester, this is challenging because it requires you to really trust yourself, and it requires you to be able to trust people to open up to. And for me, I was always that person that was like, I want to move in silence. I don't want to tell people my ideas. But what I found as I leaned into human design more is that I had the wrong people around me. So the way that Inform and Initiate works is you are supposed to initiate action from your ideas. You get an idea, an intuitive download, and you are supposed to initiate that when you feel that clarity in your body that it's time to make that move. Then you want to think about everyone who will be impacted by your decision and then inform them and then initiate to take that action. Okay. A lot of times it's like, I don't want to inform people. I don't want to tell people, but you're not asking for their permission. You're not letting their feedback guide you. It's more so just making them aware of your intentions. So it requires courage, assertiveness, and vulnerability. And for me, I have someone on my team that's a generator. And every time I inform and then initiate, it immediately puts her into action. And so what you'll quickly learn is everyone in the collective works well together when we're aligning with our strategy. Generators, your strategy is to respond. So this isn't as passive as it sounds, like just waiting for something to respond to. It means engaging with life and pursuing the ideas, people, places, or opportunities that really light you up instead of letting your mind run the show. Okay. So if you're like, man, I really want to take a trip and you're driving, and then all of a sudden you see like on this big, huge display in the middle of the street, a trip to Cozumel, Mexico, and you're like, yep, there it is. I'm responding now because that was my confirmation. Or maybe you're a coach and you're like, man, I really want to learn human design. And now you have this insight, this training where you learn about human design, and you're like, I'm going to respond and figure out how I can train my people on it. Like learning to respond. But it's important to understand that you're responding to things that light you up. Okay. Not just responding to everything and anything. Okay. You can try asking yourself a series of questions to get your body used to responding. So, do I want cereal for breakfast? Do I want water or orange juice to drink? Getting your body used to being able to respond is so, so, so important. All right. Then we have manifesting generators. So the manifesting generator strategy is to wait to respond to things that show up in the outside and to inform others of what they're going to do. Remember, it's a hybrid. So wait to respond with your sacral sounds. What's lighting you up? What is your body saying a yes to? And then inform those in your impact field, those that it's going to impact before you take that action. Okay. The key thing to note with this is as a manifesting generator, you're multi-passionate, you often move really quick. And if you are not responding and informing, you run the risk of being very busy, but having nothing to show for it, or being very busy doing nothing. Then we have projectors, and this is their strategy is to wait for the invitation. Okay. This is so important to understand because a lot of times as projectors, you have a lot of expertise and a lot of wisdom that you want to share with other people, but then you feel like guilty about it. You're like, well, no one's inviting me in. Or when they invite you in and when they don't invite you in, you kind of jump in, you feel bitter about it. The thing is, this waiting for the invitation only applies to you sharing your wisdom with others. It doesn't mean that you have to wait for every single thing in life. It means as it regards to you sharing your wisdom with others. But you can also create opportunities where you create invitations, meaning you can really take care of yourself and highlight yourself as an expert so people are wanting to invite you in, or you can flat out ask for the invitation. If you see someone doing something and you have insight, you can say, would you care if I shared some insight with you? So you can create invitations as well. It's important that you take care of your energy and your aura so that people feel excited or magnetically drawn to you to invite you in. Okay. And then in turn, people will actually come to you. So a key thing for projectors is protect your power, protect your energy, and understand that if people want it, they will ask for it. Okay. Also, invitations, key thing to know, invitations can just be like a nudge where you're like, I feel like this is their way of inviting me. And this is called an energetic invitation. And this is where someone's trying to highlight something for you. You have this feeling or this sense of curiosity. You can create an invitation from that. And then we have reflectors, and this is waiting a lunar cycle. So this can be a little challenging because 28 days feels like a long time, but take a moment and think about what is happening energetically right now in your aura. What is happening right now? Experiment with your strategy by giving yourself time to contemplate and research a particular engagement or opportunity by reflecting on it over a period of 28 to 29 days and see what happens. Okay. But also pay attention to what's happening right here, right now. So one thing I'd ask you to do is start thinking of how you can follow your strategy right here and right now. Like, what is something that you can do today to be able to start following your strategy? So manifestors, one thing that you can do is you can just announce something you're doing. Like, I'm going to make muffins for breakfast today. That's a way to inform. Every time I tell my kids that, they jump right into action as a response. They're excited about it, right? Then we have your signature and your non-self theme. So every type has two emotional themes that show you where you're in and out of alignment. I'm going to start with the non-self theme and then we'll go into signature because I like to create what I call signature moments, or what's known as signature moments. So non-self theme is a telltale sign of telling you you're going the wrong way. You're doing something. It's like a U-turn, like, hey, you need to make a turn, or your check engine light. It could be something really big is wrong with your car, something really small, but it's a sign that something needs to be addressed. So for generators, this is when you're frustrated, okay? This is where you notice that you're feeling frustrated. You're feeling off, you don't feel like yourself, that sort of thing. For manifestors, it's anger, right? When you feel angry, that is a telltale sign that you're out of alignment. For manifesting generators, this is where you're frustrated or angry. That is a telltale sign that you're also out of alignment. Something needs to shift. For projectors, when you feel bitter, this is also a sign that something needs to change. And reflectors, this is where you feel disappointed. Okay. This is a sign that something needs to change. As far as your signature is letting you know when you're in alignment. Okay. So for generators, this is satisfaction. Satisfaction for generators comes from doing what you do best, taking action. You are supposed to be the action portion of the collective. You're here to take action. You're here to follow your strategy and to respond and to take action. That is going to create satisfaction for you. As a manifester, peace. Finding peace. Peace comes from doing what you do best, leading, coming up with new and innovative ideas and initiating them. Manifesting generators, same thing, feeling that satisfaction or that peace. That is a sign that you are in alignment. Then we have projectors. Success. That feeling of success comes from what you do best, guiding others. You are supposed to be great managers of the collective and guide others to see things in new and unique ways. This is going to allow you to feel more successful when you do that. And then reflectors is surprise. That sense of surprise comes from doing what you do best, course correcting other people, getting into that energy of surprise, and creating that space. This is a sign that you're in alignment. So, what I like to do to start playing with this and practicing with it is creating a signature moment in my day every single day. This is a moment where you are intentionally doing something that makes you feel good. In that moment, it brings feelings of like satisfaction and peace and success. And what this does, that signature moment is called a signature because it's awesome. It allows you to create a single shift that is so incredibly impactful for your overall energetic alignment. And I don't know how much you know about energy, everything's energy. And so the energetic state you're at, this energetic state you're vibrating at is what you're going to attract more of. So as much as you can stay in your signature, the better. All right. So one thing that I do is I think of what signature moments I can commit to every single day. So if you're a generator, maybe that's making your bed in the morning super neat, or writing a to-do list and starting to check things off. That will make you feel really, really satisfied. Manifestors and manifesting generators is that peace. So maybe journaling, meditating, doing affirmations, taking a calming bath, like looking for that peace. Projectors, that feeling of success. So how can you recognize yourself? Can you list all of your accomplishments? Can you brag about yourself for a little bit? Reflectors, surprise. One thing that I did recently with my reflector client is I had her pick out two outfits she wanted to wear, spin in a circle, and let her hand land on one. Create that energy of surprise, because the more you're in alignment with that, the more you're going to vibrate at that, the more you're going to attract more of it. And you can also take it a step further. I have like a little alarm system on my phone where I always ask myself, for me as a manifester, peace or anger, they're two things. So I'll say, am I creating from a place of peace, or am I creating from a place of anger? If in that moment I'm feeling that anger starting to arise, maybe I'm angry about something I created, didn't follow through or whatever, I instantly figure out what I can do that's going to allow peace. Because when I go back to peace, I feel better, I feel more energetically aligned, and then I can continue to create. So for you, maybe it's satisfaction versus frustrated, or successful versus bitter, or surprised versus disappointed, but really understanding that. Okay. So then in your body graph, we all have these 9 centers. Again, these are energy centers, and each center speaks to something different. You have the head center, which is inspiration, anxiety, and mental pressure. We have the ajna center, which is for conceptualization, really putting together what the inspiration that you have. We have the throat center, which is all about communication and manifestation. Then we have the self center, or also known as the G center, which is self-direction and love, self-direction and love. Then we have the spleen or splenic center, which is about fear, instinct, immune system, and intuition. We have the sacral center, which is all about life force, work, and sexuality. We have the heart and ego willpower center, which is the heart is about that ego and that willpower. We have the emotional solar plexus. You may see it as solar plexus or ESP. This is all about emotions and feelings. And then we have the root center, and this is all about adrenaline and stress. And the further you dig into human design, the more you can kind of understand what each of these centers mean about your energetic state. But a couple things that we'll go through a couple things for overview. First thing first, the 4 centers towards the bottom, the heart center, the solar plexus, the root center, and the sacral, those are the 4 motor centers. And these 4 motor centers are the sources of energy when trying to be productive. If they are defined, it's like a rechargeable battery, but you got to make sure you're taking care of them so they're functioning at their greatest level. I find that a lot of people with these motor centers can power through things really, really well. If they're undefined, the cool thing is you get to play with different forms of motivation. Maybe you change your location. Maybe you work for smaller amounts of time. Maybe you work with people. Maybe you do like a Pomodoro technique or something like that. If they're undefined, the important thing to understand is that your motivation may be consistent, but you got to work from a place of flow, not from trying to force it. Okay. That's how you align with your energy and your productivity. So let's talk about the 9 energy centers. The key thing to know is each of these energy centers, they come to all of our decisions. It's like a board, like you're on a board and all 9 centers come to the board and they help you make decisions. They hold your energy. But let's talk about why each of them are unique. So if you look at that top head center, that is an open center. That open center is fully open, meaning it doesn't have a fixed or consistent way of processing and experiencing particular energy. Open centers are our greatest teachers, but deepest source of wisdom. Undefined centers, this is considered undefined because it has like this one little gate that's defined, but it's not, the center is not colored. So it's still undefined. Undefined centers help you to see others in a unique way, and you can direct their energy with these centers. It also helps you to gain wisdom. And you may hear that open or undefined centers are the home of the non-self theme. So your non-self theme may be frustration or anger or bitterness or disappointment. You'll notice that that's where you'll feel those triggers in those undefined or open centers. The defined centers is anytime it's colored, depending upon the program you're using, it may be colored something different. But if it's colored, like you see, this is brown, this is like this greenish yellow, and we have pink, brown, brown. Those are defined centers. When you have a defined center, this is where your energy, where others are going to pick up on your energy, and you have a consistent feeling around you. You're holding that consistent energy. This is a great place to teach from if it's defined, okay? This also means you have a consistent way of processing and experiencing this kind of energy in your life. So looking at your chart, you'll probably have some defined centers, some undefined centers, and you may even have some open centers. None of it is like good or bad, whether they're defined, open, or undefined. All these centers can be leveraged. In fact, they should be leveraged, right? Your undefined centers and your open centers are actually an opportunity for you to gain wisdom when you decondition. And your defined centers can often be a point of like stubbornness where you need to be doing some deconditioning work, okay? The point is to review this to help you understand how your energy impacts others and how your energy carries over and impacts them as well. Okay. So now that we have done a very brief overview of human design, I hope that you love this. I hope that you feel really heard. I hope that you feel really held. What I want you to think about is I want you to write out a commitment plan and I want you to commit to practicing it. Okay. Whether that's you're like, you know what, I'm going to practice embedding a signature moment every single day, or I'm going to try to make an aligned decision today. I want you to write out something that you can commit to and start practicing it. Because when I started to do that, that's when things really began to shift for me. I was like, oh my goodness, this stuff is really life-changing. I can see why this stuff works. I really felt aligned. So I want you to write out a commitment plan and start practicing it. And remember, it doesn't need to be anything huge. In fact, I'd actually ask you to try something small. So if you're a sacral authority, how can you lean into making a sacral decision today? Deciding between 2 choices for breakfast or for lunch or for dinner or something like that. And the more you practice it with small things, the more you'll start to trust yourself again and be able to lean into your human design for the bigger things, and the more you'll begin to live more aligned. And here's the thing, guys, when you live aligned, it is the ultimate sense of freedom and transformation. So, a couple things. If you have read your human design and you're like, man, it doesn't feel right, or something feels a little bit off, or you've listened to part of it and you're like, yeah, part of it feels great, but some of it feels a little off. Here's a couple things. One, it may be overgeneralized. So sometimes when I do trainings like this, because I'm speaking to everyone, this is very generalized. This is why readings are so important, because what the readings do is they help you connect every single part and how they all impact each other. So how do the centers impact your type? How do the channels impact your centers? How do the gates play a role in all of that? How do your variables play a role? Like, it really pulls this all together. So it could be overgeneralized. Also, if something feels a little bit off, you could be super conditioned. I met with a projector recently who was like, man, I'm always tired, but I feel like I have to go, 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 go. And I don't have any of these energy centers defined. So why do I feel like I have energy? Because that person had conditioned herself to feel like she had all of this energy. And the more we started practicing with taking rest and embedding rest and doing the things that aligned with their energy and working in small spurts, the more productive my projector client actually became. And so there's a lot of conditioning and societal programming that we have to work through to get back home to ourselves. Also, I've seen this a lot where there's a wrong birth time. Maybe you kind of guessed your birth time. Maybe you forgot to put in AM versus PM or something like that. But literally, even down to like 5 minutes, 3 minutes could change your entire chart. I actually had a situation with myself. The very first time I ever had a human design reading done, the person read the chart wrong. And I was like, this feels really wrong. I went back and reflected and realized it was off. The birth time, she had done PM instead of AM. And so literally paying attention to your birth time and getting it accurate as possible. You can pull up your birth certificate and actually reference that to assure that you have your birth time as accurate as possible. That will help to make sure that you're really pulling up a chart that is truly you, and to make sure that you're living more in alignment with it. So a question that I get all the time is, if you don't know your birth time, what can I do to get an accurate chart? One, you can call your local hospital to get that, or there are some places that you can do like muscle testing. The thing with muscle testing is it's not always guaranteed to be accurate. So you want to definitely get your hands on your original birth certificate, because this stuff is so powerful. And even for my children, they don't do times anymore. And so I had to go back and look through documents to find the exact times, because I needed it to be accurate. And the way that we use it, I can't imagine what life would be like without it. So definitely lean into that. That's super, super important. So again, what my goal today was to give you an overview of human design so that you can practice and embody living like this. Because the more you practice, the more you embody it, the more you begin to get your life in alignment. And I cannot stress enough, guys, how truly transformational and life-changing this is. So just continue to practice it. Just continue to be consistent and watch the entire thing come together, and watch you begin to just really live more purposely. It's amazing. What I also recommend to help you begin to embody it is to go deeper. I mentioned that we did an overview today, and this information is extremely valuable, but I found that doing readings and going deeper to really see the full comprehensive picture is fully putting this puzzle together, is fully making it all make sense. It's helping you to understand how every single part of your chart actually comes together and plays a role in it. So going deeper is so powerful, because I actually offer readings, and I'll tell you a little bit about my readings. So I am going in depth with your reading. I'm going to go over your type, your authority, your strategy, your non-self theme, your signature, all of those things we went over, but I go even more in depth with these things based on who you are, okay? And giving you practical and applicable steps and strategies to use with it. We go over the variables, which again relate to the way you learn, digestion, manifestation, all types of things. We go over your profiles, which talk about how people see you and how you see other people, or how you see yourself and how people see you. We talk about cognition, which is like your highest sense and how to maximize that. We talk about centers, where you're in and out of alignment, and how to decondition beyond that. We talk about throat center affirmations and manifestation, because one thing people love about human design is manifesting. And we talk about how to really maximize that based on your throat center. We talk about your definition type, whether you're single definition or split definition. We talk about your environment. So, what environment is most conducive to your overall success? We talk about tips for living in alignment and ways to decondition and move beyond that, how to move beyond trigger cycles that make you conditioned. And I even do business insight. If you own a business and you want to see how your energy and your business's energy interact and how to protect yourself and create boundaries around it, but also how to show up most effectively in your business, these readings are so powerful. They go so deep. I can't even like stress enough how deep these readings go and just how life-changing they really are. So if you are ready to begin living intentionally, if you're ready to live on purpose for a purpose, then you need to schedule your reading. Go to bit.ly/HD reading now, human design reading now, bit.ly/HD reading now. Okay. Right now, I am offering you a limited time offer for you to get your reading for 60% off the original price. So do not miss this. I want you to get your hands on this so that you can begin to have that sense of freedom that I have, that sense of fulfillment, and that ability to really be able to step into your next level confidently and unapologetically. Now, I could brag about these readings all day, but I wanted to give you guys a chance to see some of the things that my clients are saying about the readings as well. So Adriana says, before my human design session with Dr. Nicolia, I didn't know who I was. I felt like everything I wanted in life was just so far out of reach. I would take one step forward and two steps back. It wasn't until she explained my unique human design chart that I began to put pieces together and understand myself on a deeper level. Everything that was causing me fear and frustration began to make sense. I had this aha moment and realized that I have the power within to overcome any perceived limitation or struggles that come my way. In fact, that's the way I'm designed. That allows me to manifest anything I want in life. I learned that I'm a specific manifester. And after applying this learning to my life, I made a quantum leap. I'm finally able to see progress towards my goals and achieve the success I've always wanted in my career. I'm closer to my dream than ever before. And I have Dr. Nicolia to thank for that. Then I have Siobhan, and she wrote, I had been throwing spaghetti at a wall, wondering why it wouldn't stick. I was trying and doing all of the things, all while staying stuck. Needless to say, it was very discouraging. When I learned about the human design breakthrough session, I decided to give it a try. The session truly gave me a breakthrough. For once, I could finally see why all the things weren't working and how to embrace my unique generator self. I have never felt more prepared to embrace and face my future, especially now that I know I can't fail. Alan, he wrote, oh my God, this is the craziest experience ever. I was about 10 minutes into our session and I was like, dang, no wonder why so many things haven't worked in my life. I feel like you gave a voice to my experience and helped me to make sense of what was happening. I was doing all things wrong, but now I know what works for me. More importantly, I feel like I have a tool to fall back on moving forward to create a future I want. I can now embrace the projector that I am and not feel confused or guilty about it. Thank you so much for bringing human design into my life. And then these are some like messages that I got from different clients. So all of this dropped into my spirit since our session. So this client was sharing like all of these insights and ideas and intuitive downloads she got. And she just said, I kept replaying this call because it's almost like listening to a sermon. Every time I listen to it, I get a new revelation. This stuff is so real. I'm grateful and it's worth every penny. Another client, Dr. Nicolia was so spot on with my human design reading. It was insightful, informative, and gave me a better understanding of why I operate the way I do. Receiving the replay of the call was super cool and a great bonus. I've listened to it over and over again and continue to glean more insight. Highly recommended if you're looking to learn more about yourself, especially if you're trying to figure out your purpose. And then this client right here sent me a picture of like her workspace, and like she changed her entire workspace, and literally she's Shores, and all of this will make sense after your reading. And now feels like more productive and feels, yeah, just more aligned. It's been so amazing to be able to do this. So if you are ready to come back home to yourself and live life for a purpose on purpose, schedule your reading now. bit.ly/HD reading now. Guys, there is no better time than now to take this next step. And when I say that your future self will be so grateful that you committed to, I can't stress it enough. So definitely click the link on your page, bit.ly HD reading now, bit.ly/HD reading now. So definitely check that out. And that is what I have for you today. To close up, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. Let's please ensure that we stay connected. I am Nicolia Williams on all social media sites. So definitely come find me. You can also find my podcast, The Dr. Nicolia Show, or you can check out my website, nicoliawilliams.com. But check me out on social media. That's where I'm super active. So yeah, at Nicolia Williams. And again, do not miss this opportunity that will help you to live your life more intentionally, more aligned, and more confidently I am so excited to connect with you and to help you really be able to make sense of who you are called to be and to help you step in to the next level that you both desire and deserve. Have an amazing, amazing day.